What a gorgeous day it is in South Louisiana. Guys, it is Monday, and I love Mondays. Mondays to me are a great way to set your goals and intentions for the new week. It's the way you just get a great week started. And listen, 6 years ago, I was in a career that I absolutely despised, and I dreaded Mondays. Dreaded Mondays. Dreaded when the alarm went off. Dreaded going to the office. Dreaded everything about it. And so fast forward 6 years later, here I am in real estate, loving my life. Absolutely being self-contracted, setting my own rules, being my own boss has been the best decision I've ever made. And so let's talk about real estate. There are some misconceptions when it comes to land and restrictions, and those are some things that I want to talk about. So if you are in Acadia Parish, which is where I'm talking about because I'm going to have some land listed pretty soon, there is an ordinance in Acadia Parish that states that if you have land that you want to subdivide and sell, you cannot subdivide it less than 3 acres unless you intend to put in utilities and a driveway. All right? Now, let's just say you inherit 2 acres of land and you want to sell it. That's fine. You have the right to do that. But let's just say you own 10 acres and you want to subdivide it into 3-acre tracts. Then you can. You absolutely can have it surveyed out. You can sell 3-acre tracts, but if you subdivide it less than 3 acres, according to Acadia Parish ordinances, where land is concerned, you must put in a driveway or utilities. And that's why you very, very, very seldom see less than 3 acres being listed for sale. People will call me up all the time and say, I'm looking for 1 acre of land, or I'm looking for a ½ an acre of land. That's very, very not common. Now, it's more common in town. So, for example, right now in Iota, I know there are a couple of little pieces of land that are for sale. They're probably like 1 city lot or 2 city lots. Right? In town, sometimes you will see that. But in the country, for the most part, unless somebody is developing a subdivision, you very seldom see land being subdivided less than 3 acres. Now let's talk about restrictions. As a seller of land, you have the right to put any restrictions on your land and have it recorded at the courthouse to stay with the property. So what are some of the most common restrictions? Some of the most common restrictions that you will see that people put on land is they do not want anything that has ever had an axle or wheels. So in other words, they don't want temporary housing on the property. They don't want a camper. They don't want a mobile home. They want something only to be considered a house. Now, it could be built on the property. It can be a manufactured home, but it cannot be a house that ever had a wheel, that ever had wheels or an axle. All right? That's the most common restriction. Now, they don't normally put what kind of house it can be. So it can be a shop house. It could be a house built on piers. It could be a brick house. They generally don't put the size of the houses in these restrictions out in the country. So the most common ones are the fact that it can't be a camper or a mobile home, right? Or it can't have livestock. That's a very common one. You cannot have livestock. Another common one is that you can't have any kind of poultry, which means you can't have any kind of birds on the property. No kind of chickens, ducks, geese, none of that. Another common restriction is that once you buy the 3-acre tract, only 1 home can be built on it. So in other words, you can't buy the 3-acre tract and put a bunch of houses on the 3-acre tract. The 3-acre tract is seen as 1 complete homestead. That's very common. What are the reasonings that most people put restrictions on land? Most of the time, it's because people don't want a mobile home park being built on the land. Most of the time, it's because they don't want, let's say, another common restriction on the land is that you cannot have a buildup of like old cars or trash. Another one is that you can't have very, very loud, obnoxious music and entertainment, right? And so listen, why do people put restrictions? They put restrictions on their property to keep the property values high. So for example, I have listed in Evangeline right now, I had initially 9 3.5 acre tracts of property listed initially. We're down to 2. And right now there's already 2 complete houses that were built on those properties. And another one that's being built right now, and then a 4th one that is going to be built. Y'all, the property value of that land, since those beautiful homes have gone up, the property value of that property has just skyrocketed. Simply because the homes that are being built on those properties are gorgeous, beautiful, expensive homes. That the property value is not going to go down. Now, if they would have put, somebody would have put a mobile home on any of those pieces of land, listen, I hate to tell you, but as gorgeous as mobile homes are, the value of them is never going to increase. A mobile home is just like a vehicle. The minute you drive it off the lot, the value has decreased. And I'm sorry if you live in one, but that is just what it is. They do not hold their value. So if you have the opportunity to either build a house or buy a mobile home, listen, a real house, and what do I mean by that? Something that was never on wheels and an axle will always hold its value if you take care of it, as opposed to a mobile home. It's just real estate. It's just real estate, okay? So restrictions, they're there to keep your property value up. And so lots of people don't understand really what they even mean. It's basically just rules that go along with the property. And then listen, for the most part, they're good rules, right? They are very good rules that are going to keep your property value up and keep the surrounding areas from becoming trashy looking, right? So right now, if you're on a piece of property, let's say you own 3 acres of land and there are no restrictions around you, somebody can come along and buy the acre or the 2 acres right next to you, and it could be trashy and it could be just awful looking. You see it all the time. And then what happens to your property value? It absolutely will go down. So the great news about buying a piece of property on land that has restrictions is that you can pretty much bet your butt that in 10 years from now, the property value is only going to increase, right? Now, I have gotten calls in the last couple of days, and I have quite a few listing appointments coming up in the next couple of days and weeks. With the coming of spring is coming pretty soon. As the leaves start changing and the grass starts getting green and the weather becomes warmer, there will be new things hitting the market. There will be land, there will be homes, there will be all kinds of things that you as a buyer might be interested in. So if you are wanting to buy anytime soon and you do not know how to go about getting pre-approved, give me a call or message me. A bank is not the best place to go. They usually do not have the best rates and usually do not have the best terms. Now, if you want to put 20% down, if you're a buyer and you have at least 20% down and you have decent credit, Abbeville Building and Loan is a bank that I always recommend. They are very competitive with rates, but a lot of our local banks around Acadiana, I would not say that have had a very good luck with their rates. Just being honest. If you are wanting to buy a house, the best way is to get yourself lined up with a mortgage broker who specializes in house loans. That's what they do. They only do house loans, so they have the most competitive rates. They have grant opportunities. They have all kinds of programs that can help you. And listen, it is very smart to shop around. So when you call me or you message me and say, listen, who's a mortgage broker that you recommend? I'm going to send you 3. You're going to call them all and say, I'm shopping around and I'm going with who gives me the best rate for whatever my needs are, right? And so before you start house hunting, you want to know your budget, you want to know your loan type, you want to know all those things so that then you can start looking either for a house or a land, right? So listen, great way to start the week if you are thinking about buying a house soon, knowing that with the coming of spring and the weather getting warmer, more and more properties are going to hit the market, and you want to have an advantage when something hits the market that you think is the one for you. You want to be pre-approved. So if you're not sure how to get started, let me know. And listen, if you are thinking about selling, it is a great time to be a seller no matter where you are. There is never enough inventory for buyers. Y'all have a great week. And remember, in real estate, there are no stupid questions. Ask all your hard questions, and if you have aligned yourself with a realtor who is not patient with you and who's not willing to answer all your questions, find yourself a new one.